Good day, everyone. This is the Lord Doctor here, and in today's yapping session, I'm just going to talk about, or better yet, give some more information in regards to something relating to JJK. I know it's been a while since we've done JJK content on the channel. The last one was a Junpei video, if I believe. But in this video, we are simply going to talk about what are the main differences between the simple domain and the hollow wicker basket. Now, first, starting off, let's start off with the similarities. Now, both of these barrier techniques, they are used primarily to help the user fight in a domain expansion. They are supposed to help mitigate the effects of a domain expansion and, most importantly, negate the sure hit effect of a domain expansion. Now, the simple domain was created way back in the past by a sorcerer whose name will be on the screen here as a way to protect his disciples. The simple domain is called a domain for the weak. The hollow wicker basket is said to be the prototype or the predecessor of the simple domain. We're not sure if it's a case where that sorcerer made the hollow wicker basket as like a draft or a beta, then finally finished up and polished it into the simple domain, or was the hollow wicker basket before the simple domain altogether. But either way, both of them try to protect the user from domain expansions. Now, in light of the most recent JJK chapter, we got some very interesting information about the hollow wicker basket specifically. Now, in the past, it was highly debated in the community whether or not a sorcerer needed to have their hands clasped together for the activation and continued usage of hollow wicker basket. Or is it a case where they just clasp their hands once and after that they can fuck off and do whatever have you? Now, with the most recent JJK chapters, we learned that, alright, if you want to give hollow wicker basket an extra oomph in power, you want to increase its output, you can hold your hands together or clasp them together the entire time. Now, this falls in line with what we have been told about techniques in the JJK verse, where if you want to increase the output, increase the potency, you can add on extra conditions such as chants, such as hand size, etc., to increase those aspects of those techniques. So when we look at it like this, hollow wicker basket is just a normal barrier techniques that follows the same rules. You don't need to have your hands clasped together the entire time, but if you do, that will make the technique much more effective. This was something that was debated for a while because the first person or the first sorcerer we saw using the hollow wicker basket was Registar. And Registar, he clasped his hand, but at one point he let go of his hands, but the hollow wicker basket effect was still there. The next major point where we saw the hollow wicker basket, I believe, was with Sukuna. In Sukuna's case, we saw that he had his hands together the entire time, so that made people kind of confused, saying, alright, if the person needs to clasp your hands the whole time, then that technique is fucking useless. But no, it turns out that, yeah, you just need to clasp it once, but if you want the extra oomph in power, keep your hands clasped the entire time for the duration of the technique. Now, for Sukuna, he can get away with this because he has 4 arms, so while 2 are clasped, he can fight with the other 2. But for your average sorcerer, this is not an option for them, because remember, hollow wicker basket and simple domain, they do not stop the domain expansion from happening, right? They just negate the sure hit. They are still in the domain, and in the domain, their opponent, they have a buff in their general stats. They're increasing curse energy efficiency, their physical stats increase, etc. So they need to actually physically fight in the domain, and they need to deal enough damage to their opponent so the domain expansion is cancelled, right? So them fighting with no arms essentially was just not an option, and for the longest time this made hollow wicker basket look like shit, because we thought that once again you had to clasp your hands the entire time so for the technique to be keep on running, but that's not the case. This also inadvertently increased the stocks of Kashimo, because it was said that okay, Kashimo, if he's fighting against other sorcerers, right, he would be screwed over because, well, he doesn't have simple domain. He would only have hollow wicker basket, and we thought that hollow wicker basket you needed both hands, but no, apparently not. So Kashimo, even though he doesn't have a domain expansion, his cursed energy or cursed technique would still be viable in a domain expansion situation. It is a case where once Kashimo just gets a couple hits in, he can send a lightning bolt and kill his opponent, so on and so forth. On that note, now, since we already finished talking about the hollow wicker basket, let's go over to the simple domain. The simple domain is the predecessor is the more refined version of the hollow wicker basket. It is once again a barrier technique that negates the sure hit effects of domain expansions. Now, one might wonder, what is the key difference between the hollow wicker basket and the simple domain? Now, to put it short and sweet, I believe that the simple domain as a barrier technique is far more versatile than the hollow wicker basket. From what we've seen of the hollow wicker basket, it is exclusively for protecting yourself against domain expansion. It doesn't look like the barrier can be extended all that much. It can't be put with various conditions. It's just a one and done thing. You use it to protect yourself against the sure hit. But your simple domain, that technique is very, very good, right? You can use it for a very good defense. You can use it for extreme potency in your attack, as we saw with Kusakabe and people like Miwa, even Gojo. The simple domain as a technique is what allowed people like Kusakabe, who has no curse technique, to be regarded as one of the best grade 1 sorcerers in the modern age. You can't do that with the hollow wicker basket. The hollow wicker basket, you just use it for protecting yourself against the sure hit. That's it. That's what it's there for. It's nothing like it's not for all that extending range, putting conditions on that nonsense. None of that. You use it to protect yourself against a sure hit. That's it. Done. But simple domain, you have way more options in how you can apply the technique, so on and so forth. And I would imagine that the conditions that allow a person to amplify the output of hollow wicker basket applies for simple domain as well. So for example, if someone stays in the stance that is required for simple domain, their simple domain would be more effective, if you will. This leads us to our next question, where we may ask, okay, why does Sukuna not use simple domain? And I think he just doesn't have a need for it. Remember, the simple domain is a domain for the weak. Sukuna is not weak. Sukuna, from what we understand, he really does not really need the benefits that the simple domain, gives the user. He doesn't really need that extra versatility or that extra legroom that the technique gives you. He just needs a technique to protect himself against the sure hit of a domain. He's been using it's basically a case of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's been using hollow wicker basket for years. It's been doing its job. He sees no reason to invest in simple domain, because he has one of the most busted curse techniques in the JJK verse. He is the strongest sorcerer in history, so the small benefits or the small advantages that simple domain provides, he does not need to invest any time in that. He just needs a technique that allows him to negate the sure hit, nothing else. And that being said, hollow wicker basket would be more suitable for Sukuna in that sense. This is not to say, right, that Sukuna cannot learn simple domain if he tries. I'm sure at this point he can do it if he wants to, but once again, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So he doesn't really have a reason to use simple domain. Who knows, maybe in the next couple of chapters this may change, but always keep that in mind. With that being said, that is the end of this very brief discussion. Once again, working on the Webtoon project. Update you guys on that accordingly. Expect a couple more chapters. A couple more videos on this channel. I like to keep it fairly active, but for me, I have to do things when I feel like doing them, or when I feel like I have something to talk about, basically. And this was one of them. With that being said, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, goodbye.